Brian, does the Columbus-Philadelphia deal maybe the first domino to get things going here and get some more motion, perhaps?
Probably. That's what normally happens, and it's a good-sized trade, and that probably will shake some other things moving, but it doesn't affect anything we're working on. So,
did Jeff figure prominently as far as interest with the Maple Leafs at one point?
Well, it's tampering if you talk about a player's, under contract to another organization, and so I'm not going to answer that.
How aggressive do you want to be in terms of moving your pick up?
Not very. We're listening. We're pretty content that if all we do is pick with the picks we have, that's what it sure looks like now. I mean, but that could change. That's why I hate doing these interviews around the draft, because you tell the media that nothing's going on, and that changes with one phone call. But right now, it's quiet for us. We have put the picks in play for players that could help us now, but nothing imminent that I can see.
Is there something ideal that you guys are looking for in terms of at your selection point?
No, we draft the best player on our list. We don't draft by position, and I think if you draft by position, you make serious mistakes. So I think your job as a general manager is to address positional needs by trade. I think at the draft you take the best player available. So that's what we're going to do. That's the way we've always done it. So I'm sorry I don't have any news. I feel like I'm letting you guys down.
The nature of the talent in this draft allow you guys to stay put with 25, 30, and 39 beyond the first 5 or 6 picks anyway?
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure if you move up into the teens that you're getting that much better a player. So if all we do is keep our picks and pick or use them to get players that can help us now, I'm content with that. We're listening. We've got some move-up scenarios we've thrown at people, and the phones continue to work the phones, but nothing imminent. And it could happen on the floor. If it does happen, it could happen on the floor. So.
There's always that perception because everyone's here, you have to make a deal while everyone's here. But you've done deals in the summertime long after the draft.
Yeah, I don't feel the state is material in terms of making your team better. And I think there's pressure on a manager to do something around the draft because other teams do, and I just don't feel that pressure. So.
Can you comment on the status of RFAs and where you're progressing in that department?
No progress to report. We've signed a couple guys, and the problem case appears to be Clark MacArthur, and he's got arbitration rights, and we've told him that that's fine. If that's the way it goes, we've told his agent if he arbitrates, that's fine. That's part of the collective bargaining agreement. It's part of the process.
In terms of this year's draft pool of prospects, what would you say in terms of the depth of this year's players?
Well, I like this draft. I think it's a deep draft. I think the pool of solid prospects goes well into the 50s. So that's why we don't feel any great pressure to move up. It's not like we feel, oh boy, if we're stuck picking where we're picking, we're not going to get guys that are going to play someday. We think they are. So again, I'd say a move-up scenario at this point looks unlikely, and we'll just pick unless we use those picks to get players that can help us now.
Is that unusual? I mean, we spoke with Brian Murray, and he said he has 6, and he was looking to move up, but seemed like a lot of people didn't want to make a deal.
Well, moving up, he's in the card game at 6. We're not in the card game at 25, and if you want to get into that top group and really move up and take someone in the top 3, you better be in the card game. I've done it twice, but I started with the 6th pick in '93, and we moved up and took Chris Pronger, and we started with the 3rd pick in '99. And we were able to turn that into the Twins. So, but we were in the card game to start. We're not in the card game right now. So you'd have to expend a lot of assets to get into the card game. And frankly, I'm not sure the top end is worth it. There's some good players there, no question, but I'm not sure worth, sacrificing all 3 of those later picks or what, I don't see the value. So we're likely to be on the outside, and that's fine. We're content with that.
On the surface, it doesn't look like the deepest free agent class coming up on July 1. Do you think a trade is the way you might have to improve this summer?
Well, we're exploring all different avenues. I mean, the problem with the group on July 1st is there's a lot of teams going after a small group of players, and some of these teams do those wonky contracts that we won't do. And so, the problem there is you might be the guy that's not, sitting in musical chairs. You might be the guy without a chair, and that's okay too. Then it means you got to add to your team through trade, and we're prepared to do that, so we'll wait and see.
By wonky, you mean long-term deals, like super long?
A long-term deal by itself on a player isn't offensive to me, but when the last few years are at a ridiculously low salary, I think there's a presumption the player's not going to play those years, and therefore it constitutes cap circumvention. And we've never done a trade or a contract like that, and I don't intend to start.
Have you gotten what you would consider deep into any particular trade discussion?
Yeah.
So, and yet I don't know what you consider deep, but you don't think you're closing in on anything, or anything
No.
would be imminent in that regard?
Your opinion on the schedule, give and take, how did things all work out for the Maple Leafs?
Schedule's fine. Schedule's fine. Problem is, there's people that work at the league watch these telecasts, so the schedule's fine.
Just quickly on the restricted guys again, obviously a guy like Shen and whatnot, you're going to get that done, but it's just a matter of closing the numbers and whatnot.
No, there doesn't appear to be any urgency on that one from their side. Probably wait and see if other teams sign contracts that they think help them, and he's obviously an important player for us, and it'll get done at some point. I don't see any urgency to do it here.
What Clark MacArthur tells us may not be what he's telling you, but he seemed like he really wants to stay in the Toronto situation. Does that reflected at all in the discussions that you're having, or is it business?
No, I think he'd like to stay, and we'd like to keep him. The problem is I'm not prepared to commit to a long-term contract for a player who's really had one productive year, and putting a value on that is not easy either. That's why we haven't been able to sign him. It's not that he's being unreasonable. It's what is he? What player is he? Is he a 70-point player? Is he a 35-point player that he's been most of his career? So I'm not surprised that we're having a difficult time arriving at a value. I think it's a difficult situation, but I have no intention of committing a lot of money over long term for players who have one good year.
Would you consider long-term more than two?
Yes.